Hello everyone, I'm back with a new story, a new character, and a brand new theme. In this story, I am your main character, Steve Harrington. Without any spoilers, let's dive right into it. The villagers and the creatures lurking in the forest. They're planning to harm my co-pilot, Alisha. But what does the mark on my hand mean? Am I really in danger from these people? Why am I here? It's a question I ask myself every day. To understand, I need to take you back to the beginning. It all started when I was a child. I remember asking my mother, "What's this mark on my right hand? Who is my father? Where did he go?" Her response was one of anger and fear. "Never ask about that mark," she shouted, her voice filled with desperation. The pain of her slap was sharp, but the confusion was deeper. The mark on my hand resembled a triangle with a dot in the center, an emblem I couldn't understand. My father, Harry, was a figure I never met. I was always told nothing about him, just that he was gone. Growing up, I dreamed of becoming a pilot, hoping it would bring me closer to understanding him. Fast forward to now. I'm a pilot, and I've been assigned a challenging flight route over the Bermuda Triangle, a place known for its strange disappearances. My co-pilot, Alisha, seemed unusually anxious as we prepared for takeoff. I thought it was just pre-flight jitters, but there was something more. As we flew, the weather grew increasingly ominous. Dark clouds gathered, and turbulence shook the plane. Alicia's worry was evident. "Steve, I'm really uneasy about this route. The Bermuda Triangle, it's not just legend, right?" I tried to reassure her. "It's just a route. We have top-notch equipment. We're fine." But as the flight continued, the storm worsened. Lightning struck the engine, causing it to sputter and fail. The plane began to spiral toward the ocean. "Brace for impact!" Alisha shouted, her voice filled with panic. I fought to control the plane, but it was futile. As we plummeted, a strange glow enveloped my right hand. The mark began to pulse and a swirling vortex opened before us. The plane was pulled into its depths, and we crash-landed in a dense, unfamiliar forest. Only 4 of us survived: Alisha, David, Sara, and me. The crash was jarring, but what came next was even more unsettling. After the crash, conversations in the dark forest. The forest was dense, the air thick with humidity, and a sense of dread hung over us. The sun was beginning to set, and we had no idea where we were. Alisha was the first to break the silence. "Is everyone okay? We need to check for injuries." Sara nodded, still in shock. "I'm fine. I think just a few bruises." David was silent, staring off into the trees. This place doesn't feel right," he muttered. "We shouldn't be here." I tried to keep calm, though my heart was racing. "We need to find shelter and figure out where we are. The trees are too thick. We can't see anything from here." Alisha looked around, wiping sweat from her brow. "I saw a clearing not far from here. Let's head that way before it gets too dark." As we walked, the forest seemed to grow denser, the shadows stretching like claws reaching out to grab us. The sound of twigs snapping under our feet was the only noise we could hear, until we started hearing something else. A low, distant whispering, like a chorus of voices speaking just beyond the reach of our senses. Did anyone else hear that?" Sara asked, her voice barely a whisper. David nodded, his face pale. "It's like they're talking, but I can't understand them." "Stay close," I instructed, trying to keep my voice steady. "Whatever it is, it's not getting near us." We reached the clearing and quickly set up a makeshift camp using what little we had. As the darkness fully settled in, the whispering grew louder. It was a mix of garbled words and unnatural sounds, like someone was speaking backward. Alisha looked at me, her eyes wide with fear. "Steve, this isn't normal. What is that? What's happening?" I had no answers. The mark on my hand began to glow faintly again, pulsating like a heartbeat. "I don't know, but we need to stay alert. It feels like something is watching us." Struggling for sleep and the night's terror. None of us could sleep. The whispering continued, growing louder and more chaotic, coming from all directions. It felt like it was inside our heads, crawling under our skin. David sat up suddenly. "Did you see that? Over there!" He pointed toward the tree line. "Something moved!" We all turned, squinting into the darkness. A shadowy figure seemed to shift between the trees, almost melting into them. It moved unnaturally, gliding rather than walking. Sara's voice trembled. What is that? Before I could answer, the sound changed. It was no longer whispering. It was a low growl, deep and menacing. The figure seemed to vanish, only to reappear closer and then vanish again. Alisha gripped my arm. "Steve, we need to leave this place. Now." "No," I said firmly. "If we run now, we'll be caught out in the open. We need to stay here. Keep the fire going. Whatever's out there doesn't like the light." The growling continued, and then came a shrill, inhuman scream that seemed to pierce the night air. It was a sound of hunger and anger, a sound that sent chills down our spines. "We need to do something," David shouted. "We can't just sit here." I looked at the mark on my hand. It was glowing brighter now, as if responding to the noise. I think this mark has something to do with this. It's like it's connected to whatever's out there." "Connected? What are you talking about?" Alicia's voice was frantic. "Steve, this isn't the time for riddles." Suddenly the noises stopped. The forest fell silent, the oppressive weight of the quiet even worse than the noise. Did it go away?" Sara asked, her voice barely audible. "Maybe," I whispered back, though I didn't believe it. "But we're not safe. Not yet." The silence stretched on, and then came a faint, rhythmic sound, a distant drum beat, low and steady, like a ritual or a march. David's eyes widened. "Do you hear that? It's coming from the east." We all listened. The drum beat was getting closer, and with it came a faint chanting, a single voice echoing in a language none of us could understand. Sara hugged her knees, shivering. "This is wrong. This is so wrong." "Whatever it is," I said, "we need to be ready. We have to survive the night. We'll move at first light and try to find help." Alisha nodded, her face determined but scared. "Right. We stick together. No one goes off alone." The hours dragged on, filled with fear and tension. The chanting and drumming circled us, growing louder, then fading away, only to return again. It was like a predator playing with its prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the first light of dawn crept through the trees, we realized we had made it through the night. But the forest felt even more dangerous in the pale light. Whatever was out there, it wasn't gone. It was just waiting. And the question still remained. Why had our supplies vanished? Why was my mark glowing? What did the villagers want? Stay tuned for part 2, where the mysteries of the village and the true nature of the mark on Steve's hand will begin to unfold.